going to show you a brand new video. Today's video is what if the heroes and the villains swap roles. So this video is by J-9991. Thank you for your suggestion. He wants for every season, and I will do that. So this is going, basically this video will be from Tour Drama Island, Tour Drama Action, World Tour, Adventure the Island, All Stars Back to the Island, Redonkulous Race, and what else? Redonkulous Race, Reboot Season 1, Season 2. So I will make a timestamp for, I will try to make a timestamp basically if you just want to watch a certain part, but this is going to be that theory in one video. So let's begin. So first of all, Katie and Izzy still swap teams. So we need to understand who is what in this universe. So first of all, because Eva was the secondary villain, it's now going to be Jeff. Jeff is the complete opposite of Eva. So Eva is like a really mellow personality. She's very chill. Jeff's very competitive and very competitive person with anger issues. Eva's just very calm, like she is at the end of the series, with a lot of Jeff in her. Owen is very Eva's very chill. Owen's very like competitive, you know, he's a very competitive person. Heather's a very nervous shy girl, and Gwen's very manipulative. Gwen is a Heather basically. So episode 2, I think Gwen would see Trent when, you know, they have that moment as a good opportunity to manipulate her. I also think she can get Tyler, because there was a scene in Total Drama Island where Tyler and Gwen were in an intro with Owen, but we'd see Owen obviously, you know, wrestling the deer like he did, but more aggressively, because that's his personality now. So let's see who would jump, who would not. Heather wouldn't jump because Heather would be too afraid and nervous too. And this universe, Shauna wouldn't jump, make Heather jump. Owen would jump because he's very competitive, and Beth wouldn't either. Lindsay jumps, Noah, Shauna, Cody, Justin, Izzy, Gwen, Trent. Gwen will be flirting with Tyler, trying to put him off his game, but I don't think he's really having it. He jumps in the original. Jeff would jump because Eva jumps because she's a really chill personality. Owen's very competitive. Katie and Sadie jump. I think Ezekiel would also jump. Courtney, it's Courtney. She jumps. Courtney doesn't jump. I'm sorry, Courtney wouldn't jump. DJ jumps. Doesn't jump. Duncan jumps. Harold and Bridget. So basically, Courtney and DJ don't jump. And Heather and Beth. Now, do the Gophers still win the challenge? I think they still do, because the reason they lost was because they weren't really organized and because of Katie and Sadie. So I do think the Gophers would have still win the challenge. Now this begs an important question. Does Ezekiel still say his comment? Yes. So he goes, this is changing the protagonists, the main characters, you know, Gwen and Owen, Heather, and Eva, you know, and the main villains. So it doesn't really change everyone else's personality. I might do maybe Good Boy Duncan, but not in this universe. I actually have an interesting, that could be interesting, like what if all the characters' personalities swapped? That could be an interesting idea. Let me know if you want that, guys. I think these videos on the spot, I don't even think of them intentionally. So Ezekiel is out. Episode 23 is the Big Sleep Challenge. I think Heather's really nervous. Eva would do really good. Owen would last for ages, would be very competitive. Owen would drop his MP3 player. And Gwen realizes Owen is like a pain, but she kind of needs him, because what Gwen realizes is, unlike Heather, she realizes Owen is going to be really useful for challenges. He's going to be really good for challenges. Up until Gwen did not eat him, he basically, she needs to keep him around. I think Eva would last for ages than Duncan. So if we go by like this, I think Owen, being very competitive, he would not be the first to fall asleep on his team. So who fell asleep after Owen? It was Katie and Sadie. Bridget, so they kind of went, and I think it was Cody and Noah actually, and then Izzy, Sean. Justin still got off cheating. Beth and Lindsay. I think Tyler, Eva, so it's Duncan and Gwen, and Heather. So I think it's between these three. But Owen, Trent falls asleep. I think Trent and Heather would get all on pretty well. And I think Heather, she's really nervous. She's trying to get into herself. I think Heather doesn't really have many friends at this point. I think Owen's gone. I think Gwen still wins the challenge because I think Heather's just not going to be able to outlast her. I think it's really close between Heather and Gwen, but I think Gwen narrowly manages to survive. Duncan still falls asleep. So the killer mask with elimination, and I think Harold, and neutral. So Duncan has Eva, DJ, Jeff in his little group. And I think Tyler is also in his group. So I think the 5 do vote for Harold because, Duncan really did not like Harold. He was in the bottom 2 in the original. I think Harold goes. Episode 4 is Dodge Bra. So Noah refuses / doesn't compete. I think Heather would try to give out to Noah, when she's getting voted off. I think Lashana would back her up. Noah's just not having it. I think here Gwen has Trent in a secret alliance. I think Gwen would look at the people and think who would be easy to manipulate, and I think Lindsay and Beth would be people she would want to get in her secret alliance. And I think she also would want Cody because Cody has a thing for her. So I think when Cody sees the diary, I think Gwen sees this as a good opportunity to manipulate him. So already she has 3 people. I think Duncan would still win for the killer bass. And Eva's really strong, so I do think Duncan and Eva would win the challenge. And I think Noah still goes. Episode 5, Not Quite Famous. I think this is where Trent and Cody. So Justin has Beth and Lindsay in his little alliance. And I think Gwen would get Trent to do the talent show. I think Gwen wouldn't be as, bossy as Heather because she's trying to get under the radar. I think Gwen would try to act nice to people. I think she would do it in a more manipulative way than even Heather was. I think it would go like this. So I think DJ, Courtney, and Bridget. I think it would be Trent, Heather, Justin, and Owen's very competitive, so I think he would want to do it. I think Heather would try to volunteer herself, but I think Gwen just wouldn't have it. I think Lashana would kind of back Heather up, saying, give the girl a chance, the girl, you gotta give my girl respect, you know what I'm saying? I feel like Heather, someone just tells me this year Heather and Lashana would be friends. I think Heather admires Lashana. You see, Heather wants to be like Lashana. She wants to be brave. She wants to stand up for herself. She wants her man. She wants to get someone. She wants to meet someone nice. I think for Heather, she just would want to do the challenge. So I do think Heather would put herself forward. And I think Gwen would see this, would realize, I'm sorry, Heather, you're right, put yourself forward, because Heather could be an easier scapegoat for her. Obviously, she's going to keep Heather around because Heather's going to be very easy to manipulate. Heather is still is a pretty smart person, so we're not going to change that. She's still going to have that, but her insecurities is she's a very insecure person. DJ Bridget still offers everyone, and I think Jeff breaks a skateboard. And the thing is, the Killer Bass won because of Harold. So I think Eva would try something, but I don't think the Killer Bass will be able to win because the Killer Bass only won because of Harold. But Harold's not here, so with Harold's gone, the Gophers win the challenge. And I think everyone does vote Bridget because after that stunch build, I mean, even if Jeff didn't, there's still a lot of different people. Keep in mind, Gwen is still working on Tyler because, she's noticed that Lindsay and Tyler like each other. And Gwen realizes, well, actually, I need to get Lindsay on side because if I have Lindsay, I can hit Tyler. And although Tyler wouldn't be good right now, he would be good for a merge vote. Episode 6, The Sucky Outdoors. So Katie and Sadie still got lost. I think Izzy still... I think this is where Heather kind of starts to become her own person. A bit more, I think her and Sean are actually bonding here. And I think Izzy, I think they're kind of a trio. I think Justin is wooing the girls, and I think Heather's kind of liking it, but realizes that Justin is a threat. I think Katie is still lost. Goes from the challenge. It doesn't affect the episode. I think Katie goes. Episode 7 is Phobia Factor. I think... Who passes what there? So, Trent, Mimes passes, Cody passes, Gwen, Greenberger passes, Heather, Sumo Wrestler, Ducks and Cows. I think she could pass. I don't think the fears would change. It's just the way they would handle them is different. I think just Izzy passes, Shauna, and Owen pass. Fails. Lindsay passes, Beth passes, and Justin look at ugly, so he would fail. DJ passes, Courtney fails, DJ fails, Eva's Worms passes, Jeff fails, Sadie fails. Now Tyler, he failed, but I think Gwen would try to convince him to pass. And I think he would fail. And I think this is where Eva, Tyler, Sadie, or Courtney causes the challenge. I think Duncan's gonna vote for Tyler. I think DJ will vote for Tyler. Jeff votes for Tyler. So I think Tyler still goes. As much as I love Tyler as a character, he still gets screwed over here. Episode 8, Up the Creek. I think it's Eva, Sadie, and Courtney. Jeff, DJ, Duncan, Eva. Then we have... Alright. Gwen, Trent, Quinn Cody, Sean's fucking Cody. Trent Lindsay, because Justin will try to work on him. Izzy Owen, Izzy Lashana, Justin, Lindsay Beth, Heather, Justin, Owen, Trent. I think Justin would try to work on Heather in this episode, and I think he would say how Heather's such a remarkable person. Like, I would think he would say the right things to Heather. So I do think Heather would actually be falling for Justin here. I know usually it's a bit with me it says, but I can generally see Heather falling for Justin here. Because the type of person Heather would be, Justin doesn't realize this yet, but he's going to realize he can use his looks to his advantage in this episode to get Lindsay and Beth to do his dirty work. And I think Heather, even though she's falling for Justin, I think she's smart enough to know that Justin's going to be a lot more of a threat than you think. So I think she's going to keep an eye on that. I think Izzy still gives him the idea. Eva pushes back their team, and Izzy still gets chased down by the CRMP, which angers Owen that they lost episode 9, Pinball Deer Hunter. I think the Deers and the Hunters, I think the alliance of Cody and Trent have fallen. Justin has a rivalry with Gwen. I think Heather and LaShawna would work into the alliance together. Okay, so the Deers and the Hunters, I think it's Jeff, Eva, DJ, Duncan, Courtney, Sadie's a deer hunter. I think it's LaShawna. As a deer, Owen's a hunter. Gwen, deer, Cody, deer, Trent, deer, Justin, deer, Beth, Lindsay, hunters. I think DJ would still win the challenge because he would still kick Owen off the cliff. I think Owen would tackle DJ this time round and actually catch him. But I think DJ was just really fast in this episode, so I do think DJ would win. Like, there are characters here like Duncan, like Courtney, who was really strong, as able to rival with Izzy. So even if Owen did tackle down DJ, I think easily kick Owen. I think Gwen would want the barbecue chips, but there's no Beth. Because there's no barbecue chips, Cody will not get mauled by a bear here. So that will be important. Justin would do so pathetic in the challenge to the point that he would get hit in the face. So I think Justin would lose. I think Heather would realize, this is a good opportunity to get Justin out. I think Gwen and Heather make a temporary truce. Because they realize if this keeps carrying on, Justin's going to win the game and more likely win the popularity contest. Because they need Owen at this point. Owen is a very angry guy. So I think Justin votes for Owen. I think Lindsay and Beth vote for Owen. I think Owen votes for Justin. Heather and Shauna vote for Justin. So who does Gwen's alliance vote for? So there's 3 votes on Justin, 3 votes on Owen. Does she vote for Owen or does she vote for Justin? This is a bit tricky to kind of figure out for Gwen, but I think Gwen would say it's nearly a merge, and Owen's kind of not really needed. Like, there's not been enough opportunity to vote him off. So I do think she gets Trent and Cody to vote for Justin, because Justin would manipulate the game to really making him win the challenge. So I think he would likely win in this situation, considering the fact Heather was also possibly charmed by him. I think LaShawna would work with Gwen to get Justin out here. Episode 10 is the cooking challenge. I think Gwen, Lindsay and Beth would be upset. I think Gwen would tell the girls it's alright. And Heather will be the head chef, which really annoys Heather and LaShawna. Tries to defend Heather, don't put my girl on the spot. I think I'm going to say, yeah, but it's teamwork. Obviously, Gwen wouldn't be nearly as bossy as LaShawn as Heather was, but Heather was pretty good in the cooking challenge. But because LaShawn had Stella allergic to oranges, she would basically put a substitute and say to Heather, to LaShawna, no worries, but we need to kind of work together. Basically, myself and Cody will work together. Trent and Owen, myself, LaShawna, Cody, Trent, Gwen, Lindsay, Owen, Beth. I think Gwen would try to convince Lindsay that, Heather and Shawn need to go here, work with me in an alliance, I can make you up to the final 3. I can take you to the final 6. I think Lindsay and Beth, it's like final 6 is not nearly as tempting, but I think Gwen would want to keep them around because it'd be easy to manipulate. Obviously, Beth still wouldn't have the Deke statue episode 8, because we see a flashback of her being so distracted by Justin to the point that she would never steal the statue. So, because Owen's Eva loves eating, Owen's just really competitive. I do think Eva would eat the ribs on the killer bass. She would eat the meal on the killer bass. And unfortunately for Eva, yeah, she's going here. The killer bass are not happy with her after that stunt. I think everyone loves Eva. She's a pretty chill girl. But DJ really likes her. I think he's kind of sad she's gone, but there you go. I don't know. in total drama, they always seemed. I always thought they were hinting something with DJ and Eva, but that's just my opinion. In episode 11, who you can trust. So Gwen, Heather, Duncan, DJ, Heather, Gwen. I think Trent, Lindsay, Courtney, Jeff, Lindsay at Cynthia Infirmary, and not Lindsay, Trent. And I think this is where Gwen takes the opportunity to get someone out. By Moontel, Jeff and Sadie. By Moontel's Courtney, Duncan, Shauna, Beth, Owen. I think Shauna, Owen. By Therese, Cody and Beth, Duncan, Courtney, Duncan, Courtney. And because there's no Bridget here, there's no reason for Jeff to lose the bunny. So it's DJ's bunny. So I do think between Gwen, Cody, Jeff, DJ, I think the Killer Bass actually win the challenge. And I think here these three have an alliance. I think these three work together. I think everyone votes for Owen because he's the biggest threat. And I think because of his temper, everyone's kind of agreeing to get rid of him. Episode 12, Basic Straining. Cody's gone, and Lindsay and Beth. Three to what I say, Trent's out. I think TJ's out. Duncan's still sent to the outhouse. I think it's close, but I do think Gwen still wins the challenge. And everyone votes for Sadie because Duncan's friends with Jeff and DJ. Episode 13 is Extreme Torture. I think we have playing Trent, DJ, Trent, Jeff and Lashana. Skiing is Courtney, Lindsay, Duncan, Courtney's driver, Heather, skiing. Now, Heather's become a lot more of a competent person throughout this season, so I do think Heather would actually be able to get the point here. The Killer Bass win because without Harold wiping out, I do think they would win this challenge. And I think Gwen has Trent and Cody. But I think Gwen can get Beth and Lindsay to vote for Lashana, sending Lashana home. This really shocks Heather, because Gwen has 5-person alliance, and Lashana says, "No worries, girl, win total drama for me. Be who you are." This would really annoy Heather and get her confident enough to stand up for herself, for her only friend getting voted off. It's guys versus girls. I don't know what to say here. I think the events would be very similar. I think the girls would win the challenge. Luckily, it's just a reward. It's the merge. Basically, let's talk about who is coming back. And I think it's obvious. It's going to be Eva and Izzy. I think they're the perfect people to come back. You could argue Tyler because Tyler could be annoyed at them, but I'm just going to say it stays close. So episode 15, I think Duncan, Gwen would fail, Courtney would do alright. I think Eva would win the challenge because Eva is like very chill. Like she's very much like an Owen here. He's a party animal. He doesn't really, nothing phases him. So I do think Eva wins the challenge. It's very close to Eva and Jeff, but I think Emily have the point to Eva. So Gwen might be in trouble here. Gwen has a 5-person alliance. And I think Duncan, everyone on the Killer Bass would make a form of Killer Bass alliance, right? And they'd be happy to see Eva. And Eva wouldn't really have anything against them throwing off. And I think they talked to Izzy and Heather and explained that they have. Now, Izzy, for some reason, is randomly in this alliance in episode 16. And I think because of that, I think Heather and Gwen kind of have to decide who goes here. Now, they could go for Gwen. So I think they gang up and get rid of Gwen here. However, I think Gwen would be working on Izzy. And I think it'd be a 6-on-6 vote, which they would think Izzy's on their side. And they vote for Cody to be easy a tiebreaker. The other 6... However, I think everyone votes for Izzy for being a massive threat and very smart in this universe, because Izzy would be the Eva. Obviously, Izzy wouldn't be antagonistic, but Gwen would make, little points on how if Izzy gets further into the game, she could be a problem. But I think everyone votes her off. Episode 16 is the Keys challenge. So I don't think Gwen would try that play on Duncan, because I think Duncan's too smart for Gwen to trick him. When he would say, yeah, right. I think DJ wouldn't fall for it, and neither would Jeff. So I think Gwen still wins the challenge, which annoys everyone else. And I think they vote for Beth. I think Beth is kind of annoyed at Gwen. So I think these 6 vote for Beth, and Beth gets sent home. Episode 17 is the bike race. I think Heather would think of the same strategy as Lashana, so I think she would win the challenge. Gwen would call DJ and Eva on the roof, winning herself immunity. I think here these 6 would vote for Lindsay, so I think Lindsay's going. Episode 18, the bike race. I think everyone else makes so Jeff wipes out. Jeff won't wipe out because Bridget's been gone. Bridget's been gone. Like, Jeff's not love anyone, so Trent makes it. Cody wipes out DJ, and I think Gwen would do alright. I think Heather would also wipe out. So everyone else for the second round. I think Trent can make it like Duncan crashes into Courtney. Eva and Jeff, I think it's close, but I think Eva wins the challenge. So Eva and Duncan crash into each other. And I think Trent could definitely make it. So between Courtney and Jeff, I think I see no riding the tricycle. I don't think Courtney can make it across. So I think due to the unfair ruling, I think Jeff gets eliminated. Episode 19 is Hook, Line, Swimmer. And DJ still has the worst death. Episode 20 is Wakanda Gone Wild. I think Gwen still has a 3 personal alliance. Duncan and Courtney are a couple, and Eva's happy to work with Heather. Heather would talk to the Killer Brass members on how they need to add her in an alliance. They'd ask why should they, and Heather points out that Cody, Trent, and Gwen would be very dangerous going forward. So I think they would agree to get rid of one of these 3. And in the end, I do think Heather would bond with the animals and actually win the challenge. So I think the 4 would target Gwen here, as finally they have an opportunity to get her out. However, Gwen does point out to Heather there is a couple, Courtney and Duncan, and Eva just wouldn't vote for them. So I think she would get Courtney voted off, because Courtney's the biggest threat. I think they're going to vote her off. Episode 21. Triathlon. So it's going to be Heather, Duncan, Eva, Trent, Gwen, Cody. Eating Challenge, Eva, Trent. Race Spell Island, Eva, Trent. There's Duncan, Heather. So I think Eva and Trent win immunity, and they vote for Gwen because she isn't a popular candidate, and Duncan would want revenge. Duncan would want revenge for getting Courtney eliminated last round. I mean, he would get it that why Heather chose what he did, but he would still be annoyed at Courtney getting voted off. Episode 22 is now Trent, because everyone would say his name. Episode 23, non-mission round. Episode 24, boys versus girls. So Cody and Duncan versus Heather and Eva. I think Heather and Eva would win the challenge. And I think Chef gets rid of Duncan. Episode 25. I triple dog dare you. So the dares are on, there's no idea what dares it would be on. Right? But they're around Eva. So I think Eva could definitely make it in the end. So between Heather and Cody, I think Heather actually makes it here. So third place, Cody. As much as I love Cody, I don't think Cody would last very long. So I think Eva and Heather are in the finale. So they each go in the ending. I think Eva actually wins. And now this is the mission order. I'm going to go straight into action here. So this is the island, and now we'll go straight into action. So now we go straight on to Total Drama Action, and this is the cast. So in episode 2, Jeff and Bridget are making out. Gwen is just hated by her team for last season. And the main villain is Lindsay and Harold. Harold would be really annoyed at Duncan's bullying. So basically, we're taking Harold from my theory in action, and that's the reason he becomes a villain, because LaShawn breaks his heart. Lindsay would be girly girl, and basically how she was like in the original Total Drama special camp, where I think there's where Jeff and Gwen were dating. That universe, I can't remember. Please put in the comments what it was called. But Lindsay is just like girly girl, and like Sierra. She acts like I don't know, Dakota, but actually very like Alejandra. I think in episode 2, Jeff and Bridget still go here though. In episode, so Owen is very competitive still, right? So they go. So Gwen and Trent win the challenge. And this still would happen. I think first of all, Gwen picks Duncan. Because Trent has really nobody, I think his option, he would pick Heather. I think he picks Heather. Then I think Gwen would pick Lashana. Just to spite Heather, right? So I think Lindsay. No, actually Owen. Then Gwen would pick Harold. I think DJ. Izzy, Justin, DJ, Beth, Lindsay is Okay, so basically Heather will be put on the grips. Owen on the grips. So Owen will go on the gaffers, and basically everyone else is kind of the same. Okay. So episode 3, Izzy would still act like she did in the original. Duncan still is the gangster, and I think Izzy goes. Episode 4, Trent wouldn't have his number 9 obsession derailment arc because he never dates Gwen. So I think that's important, but there's no elimination. Episode 5, Trent's not throwing challenges at this point, because Trent wouldn't be throwing challenges because he's not going to be helping Gwen because he knows of her true nature. I think Harold and Lindsay would work together, and Lindsay has Beth, and she has the model Justin. Justin and Beth, they like each other. I think these are kind of the people she's working on. DJ, he's still. I'm sorry, DJ and Owen are swapping teams. Owen should be on the grips. So basically, Izzy goes. I think DJ still has his alliance with Chef. Or because Trent didn't throw the challenge, I think there's a really good chance that the grips would win the challenge. Harold would want to get rid of Duncan as quick as possible, but I think the grips win. Harold would be aware that DJ has a secret alliance with Jeff and would threaten him to do what he says with Jeff. I think here Harold would get Duncan out. Shauna and Heather would vote for Gwen because Gwen would be a huge problem moving forward. And I think Shauna Harold would accept, saying to Shauna and Heather that they have to vote for Duncan in the future. And I think they would accept and agree, sending Gwen as the second boot of the season. Episode 6 is an elimination round, and episode 7. Obviously, first of all, the events where Gwen throws just not happen. Heather would realize that Harold is being very suspicious, and Shauna is obviously happy that Heather has her confidence, and she's doing very well in this season. I think because Harold's not hit with a shovel, I do think the Gaffers would win the challenge because they're not slowing down, and Lindsay was really bad at pushing. So Owen would push because he's very competitive, unlike in the original. I think Lindsay realizes that she kind of needs Owen. But I think they vote him off because he's too competitive. His anger issues haven't died down. However, Trent's not really been... Trent's kind of Trent. He's Trent or Owen because, Lindsay has a line with Justin and Beth. But Justin's like a model. So Lindsay needs Owen at this point. She needs him. At this point, she does need Owen for his challenge ability. So between Justin and Beth, I think because Lindsay can easily flirt with Trent. Trent obviously isn't falling for that because of Gwen. I think his heart is kind of broken. I think the Lindsay convinces them to vote for Trent. It's kind of funny that it's the opposite way around than canon. Episode 8, nomination. Episode 9. Hook around Screamer. Okay. So Duncan would... DJ is still forced to be the scarer. I think it's Justin Beth here. It's Duncan, Lindsay, Heather, Justin, Shauna, Owen, Shauna. And I think DJ would still quit because he would be pressured by Harold and by Chef. Of course, Harold denies having anything to do with the alliance, but Harold had nothing to do with the alliance. He still worked with DJ closely, but wasn't aware of the full situation. Episode 11, 10 nomination. Episode 11, we have Explosivo. Duncan says, "Welcome to my world." Heather and Shauna would be very, very upset with Harold. I forgot to bring back Izzy. And I think Izzy still calls him the challenge. She goes 12 nominations. Episode 13 is where Courtney returns. So Courtney still gives the win to the Gaffers and she gets put onto the grips. Owen would get off into the freezer, but he would just smash his way out. I think because Owen's really strong, they wouldn't lose the challenge. So I do think the Gaffers would lose. Sean and Heather still have that deal with Harold to get rid of Duncan. So I do think Duncan does go here. As a result. Now which episode 15 is the Extreme Sports. So Harold, Lindsay, Harold, Shauna, Justin, Shauna. However, there's something I haven't said. You see, Lashauna's been caught trash talking on the GDA. Isn't caught trash talking yet. So Duncan still goes. I think Heather. And I think Lashana still does her apology cheer. The Grips win, and I think Harold gets voted off by Heather and Lashana. this would anger Lindsay because her and Harold were in like a villain's alliance. So, episode 16 our mission. Episode 17 is the superheroes challenge. I think Beth, Justin, and they are working together. I think Courtney still and Owen would be the most competitive. I think it's very close. But I think Owen would win immunity. Courtney wins immunity. Everyone votes for Owen because he's very competitive in this challenge. Episode 18 nomination, episode 19 is the Princess Bride. I think Courtney would save the princess. I think Lashana falls early on. Beth Lindsay. I think Justin would still calculate the without Harold here. Just Lashana make Harold. I think without Justin, Harold here, nobody's gonna get to the top. So Courtney still wins the challenge. Justin doesn't alienate himself. So I think Courtney gets Lindsay, Beth, and Justin to help Lashana. As you know, Lashana has put a target on her back. Episode 20, I think, is an animation. Episode 21, the vomit comment. I do think Beth would win the challenge. And I think Lindsay wouldn't do it. And Courtney obviously has been very angry at her team. It's between Heather and Courtney. I think it's really close, but I do think Heather gets voted off because Heather literally won last season. Episode 22, nomination. Episode 23 is... That's nomination. Episode 24 and 23 is the animal is the paparazzi. I think between Courtney, Lindsay, and Beth, I think Courtney smashing the room. I do think Courtney would win the challenge, and I think Lindsay and Beth vote for Justin. Episode 24 nomination. Episode 24, the Animal Buddies. I think Beth gets the raccoon, Courtney gets the chameleon, Lindsay gets a bear. I think Beth finally stands up to Lindsay, and I think they will vote her off. Actually, it's 26, Courtney and Beth. So, I think Lindsay, Beth, Justin, Beth, Heather, Beth, Lashana, Beth, Owen, Courtney, Harold, Beth, Duncan, Courtney, Idiot, Beth, DJ, Courtney, Trent, Courtney, Gwen, Courtney, Jeff, Courtney, and Bridget, Courtney. So that's the complete timeline, and now we go after action. We're going straight into World Tour. We were in World Tour. I think the teams are going to be a bit different. Owen's very competitive, so let's begin. So in World Tour, the first 5 people to arrive were DJ, Shauna, Harold, Lindsay, and Bridget, but then they put Ezekiel on. So Alejandro Owen would probably be the next person to arrive, and I think in this case, I do think it's Alejandro. Then the next 5-person team, because he's just really nice, right? But he's not flirtatious. It's Tyler, Noah, Owen, Sierra, Cody. Which leaves the last 5-person team being Heather, Courtney, Gwen, Izzy, Zeke, and Duncan still quits in episode 1. So episode 2 is getting them to cross the canal. Gwen's not very liked in her team's neither is Lindsay or Harold for last season. Alejandro's throwing his Bridget pretty hard on LaShawn. And he's just adjusting. Right, Cody is an actual ladies' man. And he sees Sierra as a good opportunity to get him further into the game. He would tell Owen to carry the goat.
So I imagine Owen would carry the goat here. Alejandro would tell his team would tell them a bit faster that they have a divining rod. And Izzy's there for the entire challenge to speak to the camel. And Ezekiel counters the camel for them, so this is just an normal motion. Episode 3 is the Japan episode. I think Harold wants an authentic Japan idea, but everyone else ignores him. Alejandro would suggest his monster idea. Noah would do something similar. Because Heather and Courtney would actually be friends here and that Gwen wouldn't fall out, I think they would suggest a basketball commercial. So I think between these five, I'm going to say, these Heather, Courtney, Gwen falling out, leaving Izzy and Ezekiel to a commercial, I think would be a disaster. So they win the challenge. And I think everyone votes for Gwen here, so Courtney and Heather vote for Gwen. I think, they're not going to really put up with Heather, so I think Gwen goes. Episode 4, the Yukon, I think Alejandro, he's happy enough. Cody cannot flirt with Bridget and get her stuck to a pole. So let's make that clear. He cannot get her stuck. I think Tyler still pulls. Alejandro pulls and Courtney. So I think everyone's now with their teams. Everyone's crossing the finish line together. So Team Chris came first in the original and Team Fitch came second place. So I think Team Amazon was the challenge. And I think they vote for Ezekiel. Play to see making episode 4. Episode 5 is the meat grinders. So I think Team Chris still in the helmets. Heather would still do the card swap. She keeps the meat grinder, and they win the helmets. 6 helmets to 7 slap revolution. So I think Team Amazon win with the meat grinder. And because Team Victor more, but there's also I think they come second place. Team Chris come second with Team Amazon coming last because Heather throws with the meat grinder. So Courtney and Izzy. Alejandro, Lashana, DJ Stars, Jan Lucas, Harold, Owen, Noah, Cody, Sierra, Cody. I think Noah and Tyler would have that friendship arc that basically Owen has. I think Courtney and Izzy win the challenge. So Harold and Lashana falls. Owen and Sierra. Sierra goes Rage Mode and Cody falls. Alright, she goes her Rage powers. And I think Team Victory lose the challenge. And I think between Harold and Lindsay, I think he wants to charm the girls a bit longer. So I think he can get them to vote for Harold. Because Shauna has more of a vendetta against Harold because, she thought he liked her. Episode 8 nomination. It's on the Amazon race. Team Victory left, right, and Lindsay goes left. I think Bridget goes left, Alex, Team Chris follow. Actually, Tyler isn't in love with Lindsay here because, of action. He still likes her, but, Tyler's left. I think Lindsay purposely forgets Tyler rather than accidentally, which really breaks his heart. And Noah and Tyler are getting through it together. I think the Amazon lose. They both for Courtney, and luckily it's just actually episode 4. I need to fix that. Episode 4. I'm sorry, that's the Yukon. They vote for Courtney because she's a villain last season. And Courtney's been nice, so they vote for Zeke. And then it's still Harold. And I think nomination episode 9. California Love Rudy J goes off into our episode, destroys the team statue. They get mad and vote him off. That just seems like something you're redeeming yourself from, having destroyed the team statue. So I think DJ goes episode 10. You've got on the block nomination. Episode 11, Jamaica. So Izzy just start playing while it's crashing, and that's important. But then they're forced to lose again. So Cody, I think it's interesting Courtney and Heather by themselves. And I think he would think who would do the worst in the challenge. Owen and Sierra are really competitive. Courtney wasn't sent to the infirmary. And Bridget's a surfer, so I think Cody would tell Sierra, whisper to Sierra, "Hey, Sierra, I know how much you love me, and I'll give you, like, your Codykins to yourself as much as you want, but you have to punch the track, because he's not strong enough to punch the track." So I think Sierra punches the track, sending Team Victory flying, and they vote for Lindsay. So, episode 13 is I See London. So, Duncan would return. We're bringing my boy Duncan. Duncan's back. So, Noah and Tyler. Owen gets caught on the stretch table. Cody is sulking at the start. He gets caught by Jack the Ripper. Sierra runs into him, and Owen gets caught on the stretch table. So, Courtney and Heather find Duncan. So, Tiana's only about Duncan, and Team Chris is about Jack the Ripper. So, I'm going to say Tiam's still wins. Duncan's second prize. He's won Team Chris, but then he gets just come back with nothing. So, they just lose. They've just lost. So, I think Alejandro would charm Bridget to get rid of Lashana. So, I think he is safe. Episode 14. No kiss. This time, there's no kiss. Okay. So, Alejandro, Duncan, Courtney. I think Courtney. Bridget, Sierra, Heather, Sierra. Cody, Alejandro, Courtney. I think Alejandro, and no Courtney. So Dion's are safe. The tiebreaker between Cody and Bridget. I think Bridget would lose the tiebreaker. Alejandro could beat Bridget in the tie. Something to keep in mind is we don't know if the 14 was an elimination, and there was no elimination episode 2. So I'm actually going to boop someone in Greece. Episode 15 is the X-Files. So Owen's very competitive, so nobody gets captured 51. Cody and Sierra call him the clone. Heather and Courtney are together to carry that portal. Alondra's top of the island with Tyler. And Duncan makes that deal with them. I think it's very close, but I think because there's nobody carrying anyone. Sarah's carrying Cody. Sarah's carrying Cody. I'm sorry. Sarah's first clone, and then she carries Cody. I think Noah's smart enough to carry the box himself because he knows Tyler would screw up. And I think between Courtney and Heather, I think Tiana's on lose the challenge because I think Alejandro could have to get one to the end himself to the end. Heather Courtney tiebreaker. I think Courtney would beat Heather in the tie. Eight. Alright, so episode 16. I think we have Canary Dork. I think Owen still takes her as Emu. So I think Courtney and Alejandro work together to get to the end. I think they win the challenge. And I think because he's a bigger threat, I think they will for Owen. 17 demolition. Episode 18 plainly joins. And here is the merge. Amazon. Okay. Then I should remember at this point, and now we're at episode 19. So who did they pair with? We're gonna have to okay, double guy so it's gonna be Cody, Sierra, Duncan, Courtney, Blanley, and Alejandro, Noah, and Tyler. Tyler and Noah screw up. Alejandro, Cody, Sierra. So Alejandro's pretty smart, but does he still throw it because he's on paid major threat at this point? So I think he probably doesn't throw. And then Duncan and Courtney win the challenge. And I think Cody would realize Alejandro is a pretty big threat. So I feel like he gets Noah. Noah wants to get Tyler and Cody out, but these two are for Cody. Duncan and Courtney would be convinced by Cody to vote for Alejandro. And Blanley would vote for Noah. So it's one Noah, four Alejandro, two Cody, two Noah. Alejandro's out. Everyone's eating challenge. I think everyone called for the eating portion. Blanley's still cheating, so she gets called out. Tyra looks at and how much he fails. Duncan would win. Sierra still wins the challenge and takes Cody to the end. And I think they would win a. So I think here this is going to be double elimination unless it stays double elimination. Unless it isn't a tie, then it's going to be a singles. So no one Tyler vote for Cody. Two and Cody. These two vote for Blanley. Cody and Sierra vote for Blanley, and I think Blanley votes for Noah. So it's one Noah. These two are for Cody. These two are for Blanley, and these two vote Noah. So Noah, Blanley, Cody. I can't have three people on, so I think it'll have to be a tiebreaker. I think Cody and Noah. I think Noah would do better than Cody and Blanley, so I do think they win the challenge. Nah, I think everyone just votes Blanley because she cheated, so I think Sierra and Cody vote for Blanley. Duncan, Courtney, Blanley, Tyler, and Noah. Tyler and Noah vote Cody. These two vote, and the others vote for Blanley. And 22 after night's Fury. So 100 miles trip down Kim started to watch Ezekiel. But I think it'll be a bear now. So Cody would still win the challenge, try and win a bear. So he has Sierra to help him trap a bear. And I think Cody is given immunity by Sierra. But he needs to get rid of her. So I feel like Sierra and Cody vote for Noah. And I think Courtney and Duncan vote for Sierra. So that's two Sierra. And Tyler. And I think these two are for Noah. So it's two Noah, two Sierra, and who these two are for? I think they vote for Courtney. And in a tiebreak between Courtney, Noah, and Sierra, I think Sierra would lose the tie. S23 is Rafa 3. So I think the race to the top, the Dodge voters, I think Cody would win the. I think between these guys, I think Courtney wins immunity. Noah and Tyler vote for Cody, and I think Duncan, Courtney, Tyler, they vote for Cody. 24, the race to Hawaii. So I think Sierra Bulls at the play. So basically, I think Duncan wins the first part. Now I think Tyler super strong fingers. I think he wins the challenge. Duncan, Courtney vote for Noah. I think these two vote for Courtney or Duncan doesn't really matter. I think Noah's gone. They find the race to Hawaii, so the race to the top, these are to the borders. The race to the top. So I think Tyler can make it again. So we Duncan and Courtney. I do think Duncan would make it before Courtney, so third place is Courtney. It's Duncan and Tyler in the finale. Each going endings, just the restaurant things that would go on. And that's my world tour timeline. We'll now get into total drama. In total drama, okay. So Scott is basically, really nice, and Dawn's like a con woman. Brooke is really competitive, and Joe's very chill. So Brooke is very competitive, and Lightning wants to be a leader, and Joe's basically, like a cadet. Okay. So episode 1, Dawn wouldn't throw the challenge, but Scott still. Stacey was yapping on her team, so I think Stacey would still make them lose the challenge, so there's no reason for her not to go home. Episode 2 is where we have Truth Laser Shark. I think Dakota would do okay here. I think Dawn would want to get B out as fast as possible, and would try to con people, try to make an alliances of people. I think Brooke and Joe would do really well, but there's no reason for Dakota not to go home. So episode 3 is the mirror strategy. Now, Dawn wouldn't sabotage B just to lose the challenge. I don't think she would do that. I think Joe and Brooke would do okay here. Mike would still like Zoe. So in the elimination, I think they realize Brooke is too useful to dump. He's an arrogant person, but he's a powerhouse. I think Joe is, a cadet. They have a rivalry with each other. Lightning's trying to lead the team. Of course, Dawn doesn't really want, but she goes along with it. I think they go for Cameron. Mike's going Cameron, though, for Anne Maria. Episode 4, I think, is where we have the scavenger hunt. Now, I think Brick wouldn't go back to save his team. I think he's arrogant enough to just run off like Lightning was. So I think the maggots would win the challenge. And I think Dawn would convince Sam, Scott, and Lightning to vote for B. Because he's the biggest threat. He's been very suspicious. He wants to get rid of her. But this is the elimination round. This means B is now put in the maggots team. So that'll be interesting going forward. No elimination episode 4. We can delete episode 4. Episode 5 is where we have Backstabbers Ahoy. So I think Lightning wins. And Scott says his shot is way off, but now it would actually be trying, so his shot would be way off. I think between these two teams, I think the maggots would win the challenge. Dawn's still stealing the items. I think between the maggots and the rats, I do think the maggots would win the challenge. The rats would lose the challenge. And I think Scott and Lightning would vote for Sam because Dawn would convince Lightning as a strong team leader, you need to sacrifice those who need help. And of course, Lightning's very bossy. So episode 6 are the Yeti. So Dawn could just talk to the Yeti. So I do think Dawn talking to the Yeti would make her win the challenge. And the others would do okay. So I think Scott and Joe, Scott and Joe, Joe and Lightning swapped. Joe and Brick swapped teams. Joe and Scott swapped teams. Joe and Dawn swapped teams. But for the vote, I do think this is mine, episode 6. I think they work with these guys to vote for Cameron. The other 3 vote for B. Directing Cameron and B, I think Cameron goes. As a cadet, I think he would realise there are 3 people in that alliance. Dawn and B, Dawn and I think so. Who gets voted off here? I think they might go for B. He's the new guy. But I think between these 2, I think they go for Brick because he's really annoying. Joe's just really chill, like a cadet. I think they like Joe more than Brick. Dawn and Joe swap teams. I think that's that. Episode 7, I think, is where. It's episode 7. The episode. This episode is the mines. So I think Dawn would save Zeke. I don't think anything changes. I think Joe would turn back to save Mike, Zoe, and Cameron. And I think because of that, Joe goes. Episode 8, Dakota, Zoid. Amaria doesn't quit, so Dakota wouldn't come back as a player, because the reason she came back was because Amaria quit. But now that she's not quit, she won't come back. So Lightning and Scott would win the first part. I think Dawn would win. Now, because Dawn wouldn't mislead her team, I do think the Maggots would win the challenge. And I think Scott would lose the tiebreaker. And the merge. Episode 9's Grand Theft Auto, I think B would do okay here. I think Dawn would still blackmail Mike for the entire episode to tell her. And Mike would want to tell Zoe about small personalities because Mike can't blackmail him, so he's not keeping a secret. Mike's getting voted off here. Episode 10, I think Lightning is with Cameron. Is bullying Cameron. I think B is going to work with Cameron to get rid of Lightning. Zoe gets revenge on Dawn, and I think Cameron still wins the challenge. And Lightning goes. Episode 11, the episode where Eat, Puke, and Be Wary. So I think Dawn wins the eating challenge. I think it's very close, but because there's no powerhouses here, I do think Zoe's too distracted by Commander Zoe. I think Dawn Zoe. I think it's close, but I think Dawn manages to win. And I think Dawn votes for B. I think Zoe, Commander Zoe makes it before Dawn. And I think these 3 vote for Dawn. Episode 12 is basically where they have the fire plant. So they all get the fire plant. They're given divided it by 3, and I think Zoe still was about to save Cameron. So I think B would win the challenge. So between Zoe and Cameron, I think he chooses to take Cameron because they would have bonded in episode 10. Cameron and B are in the finale, and it's brain versus brain. It's the elimination order, and I think now after that I'm going straight into All Stars.
Okay. So now we're into All Stars. Basically, Courtney and Gwen are on the opposite team. It's kind of funny that all the heroes are villains and all the villains are heroes. Anyway, let's begin. So I think the person who pulls on this team would be Lightning because he wants to take leadership for the team. I think Heather and Alejandro are getting on pretty well. On the villain side of the cabin, I think Sierra will probably pull because Sierra. She is annoyed, getting eliminated in Pro Tour. I guess that's a good reason for her to be a villain. I think Alejandro wouldn't bust out the robot suit because he didn't win. Okay, so I think Alejandro wouldn't bust out the robot suit, so he wouldn't do that. Duncan would now probably. He was in the finale in World Tour, but I don't think anyone would be in the robot suit. So I feel like the heroes would win the challenge because I think they have much stronger people and would work more proficiently than characters like Lindsay and Gwen on this team. And also Cameron, so I think they lose. And Mike and Zoe are a couple. I think Lindsay and Gwen, they're going to be the options to get out here. Cameron's going to be really smart and determined who to go. Sierra hates Cameron. I'm sorry, she's obsessed with Cameron. I think these five are working together, so between Lindsay and Gwen. I think the first boot will actually be Gwen. Episode 2. This is where we have count on the pieces. So Lightning wouldn't miscount this time because, he's a team leader. He's trying to. He's leading his team, so I feel like if anything, they'd work a lot more better in this challenge. Okay. So, I think Lindsay would do okay here. Lindsay would try to work with Sierra and Sam and point out that Cameron, Mike, and Zoe are very close. I think the heroes would win the challenge because Lightning wouldn't miscount the pieces. And I think they would work for Lindsay. Episode 3. This is Paintball Private Leech Ball. So I think Alejandro and Heather are just talking. I think Jo, she's doing very well in this challenge. I think Cameron gets hit, and Sierra, Sam. Duncan saves Courtney from the leech. I think Cameron, does he push? Would Cameron become the main villain? Scott never hits Mike accidentally with a shovel, so Duncan is a true bad boy in this arc. I think Duncan would now be the main villain instead of Mal. I feel like Duncan wouldn't save Courtney. Right, so because of actions, I feel like he wouldn't save her. Lightning's out. Scott still gets hit. I think Duncan's out. And between Jo and Zoe, I think Jo would win the challenge. And they vote Sierra. And is there a team swap this time? No. Episode 4, the Pancakes Challenge. I don't want to say the villains lose, but Sam cheated. Duncan would do good here. Heather's suspicious of Duncan. I think Heather's suspicious of Duncan. I think Zoe, Mike, Cameron, Sam would win, but Sam's called out for cheating. Sam gets voted off. Episode 5. This is where they have to get across the bridge. So Lightning would still lead his team because it's Lightning, he's the team leader. I think Duncan would go on the bridge, everyone else goes on the bridge. Courtney gets attacked by the deer, but I think Duncan saves her. And I think Mike, Zoe, and Cameron would travel a lot faster. But because Mike's not switching back from Mike to Mal with those personalities, this means that Mal's just pretty aggressive, basically. He's not a villain. Mal doesn't really exist here, but Mike and Zoe and Cameron would make it, so they'd win the challenge, sending the heroes to elimination. So I think Alejandro and Heather would work together. I think Scott's just nice. Courtney's bad girl, Courtney. Lightning votes for someone who's not very strong, so he probably votes for Heather. Alejandro likes Heather, so I think Alejandro, Heather, and Duncan realise they kind of have to work together with Courtney. So in these three vote for Courtney. Lightning Joe and Scott vote for Courtney. It looks like Courtney's going home, but this is an elimination round. This means Courtney's not put onto the villains team. So that'd be interesting way forward. No elimination episode 5, we can take episode 5. Episode 6, we have the episode where usually this episode is they have to get the eggs across. So I think Courtney would do pretty good here. I think Zoe, Mike would work together to still get that egg across. Courtney's trying to find the idol. I think Heather would still find the idol at this point, but Alejandro wouldn't snatch it because they like each other, so they're not going to betray each other here. And I feel like that the villains win the challenge, so the heroes get elimination. So I feel like Duncan, Alejandro, and Heather would vote for Lightning. I think Joe doesn't like Lightning. Scott would vote for Lightning, so I think Lightning goes here. I just love Lightning as a character. You know what? For a player to Lightning, he made episode 6. That's real good for him. Episode 7, Sucker's Punch. So Zoe, it's a 3 point for the last round. Alejandro gets a point for his brother Jose. Joe, we'll go back to her. Heather, sumo wrestler, gets a point. Mike uses the gopher. Cameron fails. Courtney, Jelly fails. Scott loses to Fang. Duncan fighting a piece of cardboard, he could win. Duncan was Malsphere, so I think Duncan can do it. I think Alejandro, he passes. Joe could definitely pass her fear. What it would be fighting in the dark, because she's basically brick, fails. So it's 2 to their 1, and that makes me think the villains win the challenge. I think the villains would choose to get rid of out of these group of people. I think they would go between Duncan, Heather, Alejandro, and Scott and Joe. This is really tough because none of these characters are really villains. And nobody really knows if Duncan, acting as a villain. However, I do think they go for Alejandro because he would be the biggest threat going forward and he's the most physically athletic in challenges. So I think the villains will choose to vote off Alejandro. And we're at the merge. So, the merge cast. Say goodbye to these teams. So, episode 8. This is the boats. Who goes in what boat? Courtney goes in by herself. Courtney and Dunk. So Courtney goes in by herself. Zoe, Mike, and Cameron. And because there's no Mal to destroy the raft, this means there are more boats. Joe and Scott would go together. Duncan goes by himself. And Heather would go by herself. Everyone takes a while, and Courtney's and Alejandro's boats seem both malfunctioning, and Duncan is dead last for some reason because he's very slow to get into the dock. But everyone takes a while in this journey. So Duncan thinks blowing up Chris's mansion. But Duncan can't just blow up the mansion.
Duncan needs to find a way to get someone out and keep himself safe. Okay. So the winner of the challenge, first of all, is Courtney. I think she's most competitive. I think Courtney could definitely make it at the end. So Courtney has immunity. Right, so Courtney is immune. I think Duncan would talk to the others on how to get one of these three out. Cameron, Zoe, and Mike. And I think this is where they would kind of agree to vote together, because they realize if this keeps carrying on, Mike, Zoe, and Cameron would just dominate the game. So between these group of people, I think the person they choose Sunday would probably be in this point. Really tough to say, but I think they go for Zoe, because Zoe's the biggest overall threat. She's the best player. Mike has to rely a bit more on personalities, where Zoe's the best in that alliance. So Courtney, Duncan, Heather, Scott, and Joe make a temporary truce and vote for Zoe. Episode 9 is the Shall Find. Courtney and Duncan are arguing. I think Duncan's trying to get Courtney out. I think... Who gets captured? So Mike and Cameron get captured. Scott gets caught by himself. Joe gets caught. Heather. I think Duncan pushes Courtney and leaps across, winning the challenge. And I think Courtney is eliminated, because I think Courtney's too injured to play the game after that stunt Duncan pulled. That would be a pretty villainous move by Duncan if he were to do that. I think pushing Courtney, using her from the entire game, using her as a meat shield, getting her out here would be pretty ironic. So Courtney's out. I apologize. I'm sorry if that seemed pretty dark, but I'm just trying to make Duncan a very interesting villain. Pardon me. Episode 10, the obstacle course. So Joe would do pretty good here. Duncan and Mike. Cameron, Heather, and Scott would do awful. Okay, so we know they're not going to win. I think between these three, everyone wants to get out Duncan, because Duncan pushed Courtney. Well, they don't know that, but Duncan's a big threat, right? Duncan's the only character on Cameron in the finale. And I think Duncan really wants to get Cameron out. So I think Mike wins the challenge still because of his personality with Svetlana. And I think here, the hero, the villains, the heroes decide to make, a former Heroes Alliance to get Mike or Cameron out. They go for Cameron because he's the only one in that alliance that's not immune. So they vote for Cameron. Episode 11. This is the Ice Creams Challenge. So Duncan and Mike are having their rivalry. I think in the challenge, everyone makes it to the end. So I think Scott wins because Scott beat Dirt. So I think they vote for Duncan. Actually, no, Duncan's really in charge. I think Duncan wins immunity again. And I think, you know what? I think they go for Heather. If I'm being honest, I think they all vote for Heather at this point. She's the biggest threat that's not immune. I think Heather has to go here. Episode 12. So Mike gets the diamond. We know he that. Scott gets the diamond. Joe gets the Yeti. Duncan gets the painting. And Mike gets painting. Scott gets the diamond. Joe gets the Yeti. And so Duncan gets... So we get the Yeti. Going got the painting. Scott got the diamond. Mike, the golden crystal. Okay, Duncan gets the golden crystal statue. Right, he would think Duncan crystal. So I know it's thinking mouses originally, but I think Duncan would think to look there. And Duncan's not going to find that. I don't think Duncan would injure another contestant. So 4th place, Duncan. And I think Jill would make it because she has the easiest task of drawing the Yeti, where Scott and Mike's tasks are some time for them to time that they don't have. So I was thinking Mike and Scott. I think she would take Mike to the end because Scott, because Mike would be a much bigger threat than Scott. So 3rd place, Mike. So Joe and Scott are in the finale. Right. They each get winning endings. And this thing made in order, and I think season have gone. So now that is All Stars, we can go straight into Total Drama, Pocket Hill Island. Okay. So basically, Scarlet and Max are geniuses. Amy, so Amy's the evil one, Amy's the nice one. Sugar's just really nice. Amy and Sammy are both the villains, right? They're the evil twins. Okay, so episode 1 is making a fort. Okay, so because Max isn't a want-to-be villain, I think Sugar is going to be the want-to-be villain here. Because Max isn't a want-to-be villain, I think Scarlet and Max would actually be friends, and I think they would be able to help their team make what they did in the original. I think Sammy and Amy would realize Rodney is going to be pretty easy to manipulate, so I think they can kind of keep him around to do their bidding. Jasmine's taken leadership role. I think Scarlet, Max, and Jasmine will be a trio. Beardo would still annoy his team, but I think Sugar kind of sees Beardo and Leonard as henchmen, right? So she kind of wants to keep them around. And when Ella is trying to befriend her, I think this is where Sugar sees Ella as a possible alliance member. And I think they still go for Beardo. Episode 2, getting the pig over the fence. I think Sugar likes Leonard. You know, she wants him to be her psychic. I think in the end, nothing was going to really change. I think, other than the fact Amy and Sammy aren't fighting, I think Leonard still goes. Episode 3 will actually be very, very, will be very different. So this is where they get the balloons, right? They have to hit each other, and this is where Amy and Sammy usually hit each other, so they lose the challenge. So we can skip this one, but it's Jasmine and the twins and Sean. Jasmine still likes Sean, but because the twins aren't fighting, I think the bears lose the challenge, sending them to elimination. Dave and Sky like each other. Sugar is being nice to everyone. So I think Sugar goes to Sean and says, hey, look, Dave is being very mean to Sky. You know, we should really get him out. Because if we're trying to win challenges, Dave could be making plans with Sky, you know? Like, if he gets to the final 2, he's going to shoot at the end. And I think Ella is going to vote. Ella likes Dave, so she's going to vote for Sky instead. So I think Sean says, no problem. And I think they all vote for Sky here, which really upsets Dave. Actually, no, I feel like Sugar is annoying her team to be a want-to-be villain. And these two have majority, so I think they go for Sugar. Episode 4 is... Sorry. Truth or Scare. So this is the Fears Challenge. Topher still wants to be host. I think it's down to the tiebreaker again. The only difference is Amy and Sammy here, and they would do what they did original. Obviously, Jasmine wouldn't have a friendship arc with Amy because, you know, they wouldn't like her. I think she would now be friends with Scarlet and Max. So between Rodney and Ella, I think Ella would still beat Rodney in the tiebreaker. And I think the twins do get rid of Rodney because they realize they don't really need Rodney. He's kind of a nuisance to the team. Besides his strengths, which he has Jasmine for, they don't really need Rodney. Episode 5 is the Dueling Steps episode. So it's Topher and Dave, and these are going to get a point, and Sean wouldn't be out of the challenge because Sammy and Amy are both here now, so Sean would actually be present. The next person will be Max versus Ella, I think, because Max wouldn't cheat. Ella gets the point. I think Sky and Amy, Sammy, Sean, I think Sky, I think
Sean gets the points. That's 2, 3, 1, 3, 4. Jasmine, Dave, so that's 2, 4. And Ella and Scarlett, so that's 5, 4, and then they both get a point. So I do think that the salmon win the challenge. Actually, so 1, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. That Jasmine ends up against Dave. That's 3, 4, 4. I think 1, 1 each, they get 6. I think eventually, in the end, I think it's close. But I think Floating Salmon win the challenge, and I think they vote Ella. Episode 6 is where we have this. Alright, so this episode is Momo Monkey. So Dave would still take the banana, right? And there's no sugar to eat the banana, so they would just get the key. So the bears win the challenge. Max and Scarlet don't make traps, and simply not have time for them to win. They usually vote for Amy because she's the more manipulative one. I think Topher, his head's not really in the game, but I think he has no reason not to go with that vote. So I think Sammy goes. Episode 7. This is the pit. Jasmine is terrified. Scarlet and Max trying to comfort her. Amy finds the remote. I think Chris is closest to everyone else, a bunch of idiots. I think Max and Sky still swap teams, but non-elimination round. Episode 8. I think Amy would throw the horn at the bears. Topher still causes a cave-in. He goes. So yeah, I really like Topher, and not really that many things have changed. So we're at the merge. And the only difference in this merge cast is we have Amy instead of Sugar. Episode 9. People right, I think Dave still wins the first part of the challenge. And Sean wouldn't sacrifice himself this time, so Amy's out, Max, Scarlet. I think because Sean would never sacrifice himself because without the realization that he likes Jasmine, I think he wins the challenge. So Amy, Dave still wants to go, so I think he still gets eliminated. Episode 10 is Scarlet Fever, but now it's Amy Fever because Amy's going to try to take over the island. So Amy and Sky, Max and Scarlet, Sean, Jasmine. I think this is this realization where Sean finally does fight the robot zombies and picks up with Jasmine. I think Sky would have to be tricked by a robot to get out of the room. I think Amy just gets automatically eliminated. So I think Scarlet and Max convince Sky to get rid of Sean or Jasmine. And I think they do go for Sean because he wasn't on their team. I think Sean is close. Sean and Sky are close. So I feel like she would get these two to say, actually, let's vote for Jasmine instead. So Jasmine goes. Episode 11. This is the race to the top. Okay. So I think Sean can make it, and Sky. So between Scarlet and Max, I think Max gets eliminated. Pretty sadly. Episode 12 is the talent show. So I think Scarlet would do pretty good. So I think between these three, Scarlet would do pretty good talent. I think the talent show she would do really good here. Sean. Everyone else does what they original. Scarlet comes last. I think Scarlet has to gets eliminated here. So Sean and Sky are in the finale once again. So the elimination order and how these ones are gone. And basically Sean is Jasmine, Sky gets Dave. The events are exactly the same. And now we will go straight on to Total Drama. The reboot season. Okay. So in the reboot, MK and Julia are not villains. And that is Bowie is really smart and MK. Julia is like she was, we're fake persona. So I think the main villain, Chase, is just really nice. Emma and him doesn't break up. I don't know who'd be the main villain in this season. You know what, I'm gonna say Michelle and Caleb. They're gonna be the big two, and you know, Michelle's very full of herself like Chase is. I think Caleb is basically Bowie. I think in episode 1, I think the Frogs of Death will still get to the end. I think they lose the challenge. Now Bowie realizes Caleb is too useful to keep around at this point, you know, dumping him at this point would not be a good move. I think Caleb has Emma, Julia, MK, and Michelle. I think he's getting the girls, but MK is more than smart enough to realize Caleb needs to go. So I feel like she goes to Bowie and says, we need to get rid of one of the girls. So we'll vote for Emma. I think she can convince Julia to vote for Emma. I think the first boot will probably be Emma here. Actually, yeah, it's Emma. Episode 2 then. Pirate Scavenger Hunt. Okay. So Axel would still kick Ripper off the boat. Because he's still mean to everyone. I think MK and Bowie would work together to try and figure something out. So I think him and Julian are kind of the trio. I think they're making an alliance to get out Caleb as quick as possible. I think the Trout lose and Axel still gets eliminated. Episode 3 is basically the obstacle course episode. Okay, so in the obstacle course episode, I think Chase would do really bad here because he does stunts, so he'd be pretty good. I think Michelle is just full of herself, but she still failed. And I think they vote her off even more so than the original. Raj obviously likes Caleb, and I think they realize Caleb isn't really not gonna have anyone next time with elimination. Episode 4. So, Numbskull Island, I think Ripper still, you know, he's everyone a Team Shield. I think Scary Girl still costs him the challenge. And I think Scary Girl still goes. Episode 5. Jurassic Farts. Damien still wants to do his quit campaign. I think Caleb would do okay here. Bowie and Raj would still like each other because that didn't have nothing to do with Bowie being bonus. I think Damien still gets eliminated. Episode 6. Now MK's not spying on professionals, that was Michelle, but she's not here. Well, no one's spying on professionals really. I guess you could say Caleb would do that, but basically I think at this point they would still lose the challenge. The Frogs of Death still lose, and I think everyone gangs up on Caleb. I think everyone gangs up on Caleb because I think they realise that Caleb's just too much of a threat to keep around. While Lane and Raj would be very close, I think they'd rather have the Hockey Bros. And we're at the merge. Okay, so basically MK is here instead of Emma. Episode 7. I think the challenge would still... Raj and Wayne still get medically evacuated after this episode. Nothing really changes. Episode 8, I think Julia would still win, and everyone votes for Ripper. Episode 9, I think Bowie and MK and Julia trio, Emma, Priya, and Chase would work together. Z would still have the alliance. So I'm in both alliances. I think Julia would just win the challenge. Z goes. Episode 10 is Bouncing on the Beam. Millie falls. Chase. Priya falls. I think Julia would fall. Bowie's still through. And MK. And Chase would win the challenge after wanting pizza. So I think these three would vote for Julia because she's an influencer. I think Bowie is going to realize MK and Julia are actually very close. So I think he gets rid of Julia with them. Actually, I think the three work together. They vote for Millie. I think they convince Chase because they point out to Chase that Millie and Priya will just take each other in the finale. Chase can't have that, so I think Millie goes. Episode 11. So taking the pictures, I think Julia would win the challenge. So she wins immunity. I think these three are going to sit together, vote for Priya. Episode 12 is Boys vs. Girls. Tortoise Mega Tortoise. I think Bowie's not throwing the challenge because he obviously wants to try and win. I think Julia and MK would do a lot better than Chase and Bowie. And I think the girls vote for Chase here. So Julia, MK, and Bowie are in the finale. It's kind of funny that because they're not the main villains, they actually make it to the end. So I think the first part of the challenge would play the same. Bowie can't break MK or Julia, so I think, unfortunately for Bowie, I think he's coming third here. I'm between Julia and MK. I do think Julia would win the challenge. So I think it would be ironic if Julia won, but I'm happy for MK to win as well, because MK is one of my favourite characters in the reboot. Like, these three are probably the best finalists I've had in a long time. So this is the animation order, and now we're going straight into the reboot season 2. So in the first episode is Strikers. So nobody likes Caleb on the Bratz team. I think Emma would come back as like a really strategic player, and Axel. I think at this point, Scary Girl still gets booted first. Episode 2. Take it to the rim. Chase would actually help his team this time. So I think the Skunk Butts would win the challenge. Axel and Emma would do okay here. I think Damien would come back as like a devious character like MK was. And I think Damien and Axel would, and Damien and Shell would like be the MK and Julia in this universe. And I think for them, Caleb is still the first. This is gonna be the second boot of the season. Episode 3. Actually, no, Millie did push Damien down the water slide. So Millie goes. Episode 3 then. So first of all, MK wouldn't cheat in this episode. So I think the opposite would happen. I think Michelle and Damien would actually be cheating here, sending the skunk butts to elimination. I think they work with Caleb. I think the winner of the challenge, who gets voted off here? So usually last challenge was Ripper. So I think Bowie and Raj together, and he's with the Hockey Bros. So they have majority. So I think they vote for Ripper because nobody really likes him. So I think they're just going to vote him off. Episode 4. This is so basically Damien and Michelle cheat again. Skunk Butts lose the challenge. And I think they go for Chase. Episode 5. The ice episode. So basically they're going to cheat again. Raj and Wayne argue with Bowie. I think the Skunk Butts still win the challenge. Not Skunk Butts. I think the Ratface argue. But I think they actually do manage to win still by cheating. And I think Bowie, Raj, and Wayne are going to sit together and vote for Julia. The merge then. Okay. So He's against who? So I think because Damien was the one to cheat, he's going to fight the bear, so he's going to lose. Michelle Z, Michelle, Priya Caleb, Priya, Bowie Raj, Bowie, Wayne MK, Wayne, MK Axel, MK. So next round, Axel, Michelle, Bowie, Wayne, and Axel. So between these three then, in the final round, I think Bowie's managed still wins the challenge, sending the rest to elimination. So I think they go for Damien because he cheated. MK and Bowie were in the finale though, but I think they go for Damien because he cheated. Episode 7 is Cooking Challenge. So I think it's MK Bowie, Raj Bowie, Wayne, Caleb, Emma, Michelle, Priya, Axel, MK, and Z. And I think between these guys, I think Bowie, Raj, and Wayne would win the challenge. And I think everyone is going to vote between Michelle and Caleb. I think they go for Michelle. But this is a double. So I think it's going to be a tie between Michelle and Caleb, so they're going to be sent home here. Episode 8. Yeah, I forgot Damien had the idol. So basically Damien uses his idol. So I think Damien, between these people, who's going to eliminate? So MK and Bowie were in the finale. I think he votes for Bowie because Bowie's a much bigger threat. Episode 7. The cooking challenge, I think, is the villains. I think MK would be with the Hockey Bros. I think Emma, Z, and Priya. Axel would be with them. I think they win the challenge. I think everyone's going to vote for Damien. And I also think Michelle. Episode 8. I think the winner of the challenge will still be Priya. And I think Z reveals everyone's secrets. So I think he still gets eliminated. Episode 9. Breaking things hard. Caleb is obviously winning the challenge. And I think everyone just votes for MK because she was the last person here who's been in the finale. She's the biggest threat, so I think she's the biggest threat, so I think they just vote her off. Episode 10, Painful Memories. Okay. I think Caleb actually wins the challenge and he gets to share his immunity with someone. And I think that's going to be... he's not really interested in Priya. Axel, Priya, Emma. You know what, I'm just going to say he shares it with Priya. Because, she's the last of the 3 threats. And I think everyone would vote for Raj because Hockey Bros would vote for Raj because they would choose each other. Everyone votes Raj because Raj Wayne would be quite dangerous together in the finale. Episode 11, working K to 9, I think Axel would win the challenge because she's a survivalist. And I think everyone does vote for Caleb here because he's the biggest threat going forward. He doesn't have immunity and they might not get another chance. Episode 12. So off the hook. I think Wayne won't do that well. So I think between Priya and Axel. I think Axel would actually be really good in this challenge. So I'm going to say Axel wins immunity. So Axel and Wayne are in an alliance. They're together. So I think here Emma votes for Priya, Axel votes for Priya, and Wayne votes for Priya. So Emma, Axel, Wayne are in the finale. They each get winning endings. I think Axel wins, but this is the emotional order I think is going to go on. In Total Drama, the reboot season 2. Thank you guys for watching. And now we'll go straight into the final season, being Total Drama, The Redonkulous Race. The Redonkulous Alex and Jose and Jock were the main villains, but now it's Noah and Owen. So we'll see how this unfolds. Episode 2 has no reason to believe that Leonard and Tammy would still be out. I think the Ice Dancers is still going to be out competitive people. I think Noah doesn't affect the challenge. Episode 3. Noah and Owen still get the penalty. Owen's very competitive, so I think they get that from after in the stories of the tennis rivals to go here. And the geniuses. Episode 5, non-elimination. Episode 6. And I still think the vegans go. So the Hotel 1, Noah and Owen do very well. The Ice Dancers do in the original. I think Emma and Kitty probably wouldn't get with Noah. I think the fashion bloggers are still eliminated. Episode 8. And no mission. So 9 is mother and daughter. I don't think the challenges affect how Noah would play the game. Episode 10. Episode 10, no mission. Episode 11. Emma usually messes with the adversity twins, but that wouldn't happen here. So Noah would just do the same thing, so there's no reason for them not to get eliminated. Episode 12. Episode 4, 12, non-elimination. Episode 13, non-elimination. Episode 14, the Ice Dancers still win. And it's still Step Brothers and Rock and Spot. Episode 15, non-elimination. Episode 16 is where Dwayne and Junior usually get out. I think that would still happen. I don't think Noah and Owen affect the challenge. Episode 17. Episode 17. Animation. Episode 18 is still. Now this is when Noah and Owen get out, but I don't think they go here because Owen's very competitive, so he'd grab the venom. And Noah would outsmart the venom. Now the next people to fail were Jeff and Birdie. So they were the next two to arrive. And I think Noah and Owen would be able to outsmart Jeff and Birdie. So I think Noah and Owen get the venom by outsmarting the raccoons. So I think Jeff and Birdie actually get eliminated here. Episode 19. Episode 19. No, episode 20. This is where they have to get the bunny. Okay. So they're racing across. Usually Ennui and Crimson lose their bunny. Right? But Noah and Owen, I don't think would sabotage them. Because Noah would think at this point that could be used later on. So the next people to fail were the Surf Bros. They came last. But they're not here. So the daters, such haters, are actually out. So 21 is the teams challenge. Team is 6 then. Noah, Owen, Ennui. So we know the Ice Dancers win. And we know that the sisters also win. And we know Devin and Carrie win. So it's between Noah and Owen and the Goths. And I think now this is when Noah does his plan to get Loki separated from them. So Ennui and Crimson are both out. Episode 22. 22 animation. Long season, so I'm just flying through it. Episode 23. Okay, so this is where I have to get the tea leaves. Okay. So I feel like Owen's really fast and Noah, so I think they would actually do very well. And Jock and Jose do, and the sisters. Now Devin and Kiri were the last two to arrive, so they would actually go here. I think they would do the slowest and definitely the worst in this challenge, so they're eliminated. Episode 24 So this is the tango episode, and we know Jose and the sisters are bad. Now, I think Noah and Owen wouldn't do that well here, and I think this is where they get eliminated in this episode. Episode 25. Now, because we're a group show and there was only a returning contestant because Devin and Carrie got injured, this is actually going to be a non-elimination round. So basically, episode 26, the sisters will just place the cadets. I think personally that the first part of the challenge played the same, but there's no elimination. And if I'm being honest, I think the ice dancers could actually win in this universe because they were really athletic. However, I think I'm very happy for the sisters to win as well. And that's the complete timeline in basically R&R, and now we'll go straight into Teledrama, the reboot season. Okay, so the main villains are not Bowie and Julia. Instead, I had to think about this, and I think it'd be Chase. And I think Scary Girl, to be honest. Actually, no, MK. I think MK. Alright. So episode 1 doesn't change. I think they function out still win the challenge. And I think lose the challenge, and I think MK can convince the rest of the team to vote Caleb, by pointing out how big of a threat he is. I mean, Bowie could do the exact same thing. Episode 2, again, being kicked off the boat. Chase would try and make an alliance with people. I think he's going to see Ripper as a problem. I think Chase would agree to get out Ripper, but would see Priya and Millie very threatening as well. I think here Axel still gets kicked off, so she gets eliminated. Kicks off Ripper. Episode 3. This is again the team loses to Michelle, and she gets voted off. Episode 4, Scary Girl crosses to 13, the loss of the numbskull. Everyone votes her off. However, this time, Chase would also want her out because she would see her as a threat and could be could be a problem later on in challenges. So he'd vote for her. Episode 5. Sorry, don't Chase is there, so Millie still votes Scary Girl. Episode 5. And Damien still gets himself eliminated. MK would still reveal she would be wouldn't spying confessionals and would still feel, butt nuggets. And Chase would realize, well, MK spying on us. She goes, and we'll make this a merge bar. Let's merge. Okay. Episode 7. Episode 7, we have Raj and Wayne still admit to each other, Raj admits everything to Wayne. I think Millie still wins the challenge. Chase and Emma make up so he can try and get her back into an alliance. I think Raj and Wayne are out. Episode 8. Episode 8, Julia still wins the challenge. I think Ripper goes. Chase makes a guy's alliance because he says they're being outnumbered by the girls, like Duncan does in Island, and I think what would happen is Julia wins, and Z still is voted off for the same reasons as the original. Chase realizes he's too unpredictable. He needs to get rid of Millie and Priya next. Episode 10. Okay, so Chase wins immunity, and I feel like him, Emma, and Julia and Bowie are convinced to vote for Millie. So yeah, they vote for Millie because she's a strategic threat. Episode 11. Tortoise. I think Chase wins the challenge. I think Priya, Julia, and Bowie sit together and vote Emma. Episode 12 is guys versus girls. Now Bowie doesn't throw the challenge. It's Priya and Chase versus Julia and Bowie. Now Bowie doesn't throw the challenge because he knows that Chase is the easiest to beat, but he also realizes he might be in trouble. And in this universe, him and Julia have been getting on pretty well, so they would actually help each other out to get to the end. And I think Chase and Priya and Bowie and Julia, I do think Bowie and Julia would get there a lot faster. So unfortunately, everyone gangs on Bowie here. Julia. And I think the finale. And the finale plays the same. Julia just replaces Millie. I think Priya doesn't team up with anyone. I think Bowie teams up with Julia, so I think Julia and Bowie in the finale. And I think Julia probably wins. So episode 1 is still the pitching, and Scary Girl still eliminated. Bowie wouldn't be unlikable, so I think MK and Chase would make an alliance because they would be like the only ones on the team. I think Caleb would be a villain and could charm the ladies to his side. And Axel's trying to be team leader. I think MK is going to be huge. Realize that, the Hockey Bros, these four majority. And I think because Chase will actually help in this challenge, everyone uses one River because they don't like his farting and, stuff like that. I think because Chase would actually compete this time because Emma wouldn't distract him, I think River ends up getting voted off. Episode 3. MK and Chase wouldn't cheat because they're the opposite. So while MK is slightly evil in this universe, she's more a strategical threat. Caleb would guide the girls, so I do think Team Skunk Bottom would lose the challenge, even with more people on the rats. And I think Chase convinces Julia that one of these three have to go because they will lose the tiebreakers. Emma and Julia are friends. And I think they actually vote Bowie, and the other three vote for Chase. So in a tie between Bowie and Chase, I think Chase loses the tie. It's a shame. I do love Chase's character, but he made it one episode further. Episode 4. It's episode 4. I think because Bowie and them nobody's cheating, I think the rats win the challenge because Caleb uses looks and everyone else can get across. Emma wouldn't do that well here, but I think she would do okay enough. And sending the Skunk Butts to elimination again. And I think Bowie and the Hockey Bros decide to work together. And because Bowie's friends with Julia, I think he votes MK. Episode 5. Because Julia does not MK to nobody cheating. The Hockey Bros will get out a lot faster because there's no fighting on the team. And they win the challenge in the original, even with cheating and arguing, so I do think they would actually win. Caleb would try his best with everyone else, and I think he'd get close with Priya. I think he would be able to charm Millie because he's able to charm one in the original. And I think the rats lose the challenge. Caleb convinces the girls to vote for Z because Nichelle wouldn't quit this time because Julia would never convince her, and he would value Damien's intelligence as a result. And Z's the most unpredictable and likely to expose him in terms of challenges and all that. And because Caleb's only using other girls for the actual vote this time rather than liking Bria, Z gets eliminated. And episode 6. So episode 6 is Merge. Okay. Who's against you? Raj and Wayne. Bowie, Raj. Julia, Axel. Let's see the original pairs and then pair up people who were not there in the original. So episode 6 is the pairs. I think it's still Julia, Bowie. Priya Kill. I think he'll portray his looks, but I think he gets knocked over. Emma Nichelle. I think it's going to be Nichelle, Millie, Damien. Damien. Then round 2, Axel just gets a free pass. Because nobody fights the Bergs, nobody cheated. Julia, Bowie, I think Bowie. Priya, Michelle. Priya, Damien, Axel. I think it's going to be Axel. So then Bowie, Priya, Axel. I think Axel wins immunity. And I think because everyone would be aware of Caleb controlling the game, I think Bowie, Julia, Wayne would kind of work with everyone else to get out Caleb here. However, because Caleb has majority, and I think Billy would also be scrappy enough, but I think Caleb would convince the girls that they have to get rid of Bowie because he's the biggest threat that is not immune. So I think everyone gangs on Bowie here. Damien is going to obviously want to work with Caleb, and I think Bowie is out, which really upsets Julia, Wayne, and Raj. Episode 7. So now you have 3, 3, and 4. So in the cooking challenge, we have Julia, Raj, and Wayne. We have Caleb, Damien, Nichelle, Millie, Caleb, Priya, and Emma, which Damien, Axel, and Nichelle. I think in this challenge, the winner would more than likely be still Julia, Raj, and Hockey Bros, which really concerns. So what's going to happen with the alliance? Caleb will convince the girls to vote for Damien. With a possible exception of Nichelle not voting for Damien, I think it's still enough. I think because he can be convinced, I think the other 4 vote. Caleb tells Damien to vote Julia. Priya and Emma would vote for Damien, so it's 2 on Damien. Millie also does it, so it's 2 on Damien. Nichelle does it, it's 3. I think Axel as well, it's 4. So I think Damien goes. However, Damien still has the immunity idol, which Caleb would realize that he mentioned in the last episode. So Caleb wouldn't target Damien because he would want to get rid of him later on. So I think he goes for Millie because he would want Priya's loyalty. So he would basically realize that Axel needs to get eliminated. And Priya made it in the finale last season, so I feel like he would get the girls to vote for Millie, and I think she gets voted off. Episode 8. However, this is originally a double elimination, and Axel usually gets voted off, which is fine, but because there's a double, I think Caleb would have. It's up to these guys now, so. Priya votes Axel. I think Millie and Caleb vote Axel. That's 3 on Axel. These 3 vote Caleb. That's 3 on Caleb. I think Damien votes Caleb, 4 Caleb. 4 Axel. It's actually tough. So these 3 vote for Axel, Caleb. Damien knows Priya likes Caleb. Knows that they like Caleb. So I feel like Damien votes Millie. That's 1 on Millie. I think. No people. I think Caleb. So it's these 3 vote Axel. Damien votes Axel. It's 4 Axel. These 2 Axel. It's 6 Axel. And then these 3 vote for Caleb. So I think Axel and Caleb, realizing that they kind of need to get some. So then there's another revote because it's double immunity. So I think it's going to be these 4, 5, 9. So I think 3 for Caleb. And because there's a divide between the girls, I think Caleb would get the girls to vote for Axel. So these 3. So basically, Damien, Priya, Julie vote Axel. It's 3 on Axel. These 3 vote Caleb. 3 on Caleb. And I think the other 3 are with Caleb here to vote Damien. And everyone votes for Damien, but Damien has the immunity idol at this point. And these 3 vote for Caleb. So Damien's vote's the only one that counts. So it's up to Damien who he would vote for. So Axel still gets eliminated. which I think for Damien, he would vote for Caleb. This really knows Caleb, and I think he's out here. Episode 8. So the next episode is the pinball challenge. And I think Priya would still win the challenge. Now the girls would be annoyed at Damien for getting rid of Caleb, but Nichelle wouldn't vote him off. But I think the girls would convince Damien to vote for Julia because she was in the finale before, and she's the only finalist who's not immune. And I think Julia goes here. Episode 9. So basically they have to punch something and get the biggest, whoever gets the biggest thing wins, and Priya wins immunity. So I think this is where, even though the girls want to get rid of Damien, I think he cannot be saved. Unfortunately, the girls have the numbers to get rid of the Hockey Bros next time in elimination. Damien did help them get rid of Caleb, but I don't think they really care. They really just want Caleb back. Episode 10. I think this is basically the Fears Challenge, and Emma doesn't vote Nichelle, doesn't either Millie. So it's between Priya and the Hockey Bros. Now, I do think the Hockey Bros would win this challenge. I think Raj would be able to do his Fear, being up to team with Wayne. And because they would have very good sync and they're literally on, like, a team, I think the two would actually win immunity. Priya and Millie are very close. I think Emma and Nichelle would go to the Hockey Bros and basically vote out Priya. Because Priya's won the most challenges, she's going to be a very massive threat going forward. So I think they actually go for Priya here. Episode 11. Working K9. I think Millie would win because Millie would outsmart the K9, and I think they win immunity. The girls would make a girls' alliance to get rid of Wayne or Raj, and they go for Raj for similar reasons to the original. Episode 12. So in episode 12, I think here what happens is Wayne wins the challenge because basically he's the strongest here, and I think Nichelle and Emma vote for Millie. So Wayne, Nichelle, and Emma are in the finale, and it's very close to the end. I think Wayne still wins. That's the complete timeline and total drama. Thank you guys for watching. If the roles were reversed, comment, like, subscribe, and yeah, peace, farewell.